The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
We love it.
Good day, tokers and tokettes, and welcome to the show. It is Thursday, April 10th, 2014, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. So glad you could be with us today, and it's just 10 days away from 420. Oh my God, the fun we are going to have. Next week this time, we should be somewhere between Wyoming and Colorado, making our road trip all the way down to the High Times Cannabis Cup, which they're expecting 30,000 people at the Cup. They got 2 demonstration halls. They've got over 500 booths. It's going to be amazing. We will bring you as much coverage of that as we can, both live and recorded from the High Times Cannabis Cup in Denver. And also, speaking of next week's road trip and the shows, we'll do what we can as far as bringing you live shows. I've got this wild idea. We'll see how the cell works, but I might actually be able to bring you a show from the car as we're road tripping. We're going to work out the technology this weekend, but we'll see if we can do that. All right, on today's show, I got a very interesting email today forwarded to me from the editors at High Times Magazine. I wrote this article about how Mexico is, cranking out heroin now. And at the bottom of that article, I mentioned the drug Zohydro and how it contains up to 5 times as much hydrocodone as a Vicodin, and how there was an 11-2 FDA panel against approving this drug. Anyway, a representative from Zogenix Incorporated, the drug company that makes Zohydro, emailed High Times and me to complain about my coverage of Zohydro, said I wasn't giving the readers of High Times any accurate facts about Zohydro. So, you know me, I look shit up. We are going to talk about that today in the Radical Rant. I'll give you some accurate facts on Zohydro. Stay tuned for that. Also, in Behind the Headlines, the Chicago Tribune asks what I've been asking: why won't Democrats embrace the rising support for legalization of marijuana? We'll take a look at the politics behind that. Also, in the 420 radio news, an amazing headline: Iowa Representative Clell Bodler, yeah, that guy, has come out in favor of CBD-only medical marijuana. It's amazing. We'll tell you all about that in the news. Also today on Daily Toker Tunes, the debut of our new Groovin Thursday editor, who's got a great nickname, Chuck Diesel, will be joining us by phone to tell us about a new song. Well, I don't know if it's a new song, but our song today from Hieroglyphics. All that and Hour 2 Toker Talk Radio will take your calls at 971-533-7111. Stick around. Russ Belville Show is next.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The Law Office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college NORML activist to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your Fired Up Lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your Fired Up Lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today. You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. Hey tokers and tokettes, Radical Russ here to introduce you to my friend Matt and all the staff at Lush LED Lighting. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED Lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. If you thought LEDs were meet the tech of today, Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Let's just say I appear at a lot of events with the masters of indoor horticulture, and the harvests I saw from Lush LED Lighting were big, tight, sticky, and very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Double your rewards and lower your expenses with Lush LED Lighting.
This is your 420 Radio News for Thursday, April 10th, 2014. I'm Russ Belville. Iowa Representative Clell Bodler has come out in favor of legalization of medical use of CBD, which he says is not medical marijuana. Representative Bodler has infamously opposed every attempt to pass limited medical marijuana bills in Iowa. He was cleared of an ethics complaint filed in 2011 when he traveled to California and lied about having hemorrhoids to secure a medical marijuana recommendation. He then waved that recommendation around in the Iowa legislature to prove how medical marijuana would be abused, despite the fact Iowa's many bills would never have facilitated the use of medical marijuana for hemorrhoids. Iowa's ethics committee could only address Representative Bodler's action in the Iowa House. They did not have the authority to rule on the fact he lied to get his recommendation, a violation of California law. But now Representative Bodler claims, quote, it's time, end quote, to pass this CBD bill, explaining that he had never heard of cannabidiol until this year. Georgia Governor Nathan Deal is exploring options to provide CBD to patients who were let down by the legislature's inability to pass a CBD-only bill. Governor Deal is considering executive action to allow Georgia Regents University to conduct clinical trials on CBD. However, as NORML's Paul Armentano notes, that capability has existed for decades and requires no new laws. Quote, because CBD is acknowledged by federal regulators to be classified as a Schedule I prohibited substance, multiple federal agencies, including the FDA, DEA, National Institutes of Drug Abuse, and Public Health Service, must all sign off on any clinical investigation of the cannabinoid, a process that typically takes several years. A keyword search of FDA-approved clinical trials using the terms cannabidiol and United States yields fewer than 10 ongoing human trials involving CBD, less than half of which are assessing its potential therapeutic applications. Democrats in South Carolina will be voting on a referendum to express support for whole plant medical marijuana. Representative Todd Rutherford announced that the vote will be held on the June Democratic primary ballot in case efforts to pass his whole plant medical marijuana bill fail this session. Supporters of medical marijuana gathered this Wednesday at the Capitol in Columbia to urge lawmakers to pass the bill, which would allow patients to possess up to 2 ounces of usable marijuana and, surprisingly for an East Coast state, allow patients to grow up to 3 mature marijuana plants. Recommendations by physicians would be allowed for the standard 8 conditions almost all medical marijuana states cover: cancer, HIV/AIDS, cachexia, glaucoma, spasticity, seizures, pain, and nausea. Under the bill, there would also be a patient's registry, medical marijuana cards, and licensed marijuana dispensaries. Child custody, organ transplant, educational, and employment rights of patients would be protected. A new report estimates that legalized marijuana in the state of Rhode Island could reap $21.5 to $82 million in tax revenue per year. The study by the nonprofit Open Doors, entitled Estimated Effects of the Tax and Regulate Legislation in Rhode Island, examined current legislation that proposes a $50 per ounce wholesale tax and a 10% retail sales tax on marijuana sold in just 10 stores statewide. Pat Oglesby, founder of the Center for New Tax Revenue, called Rhode Island's proposals for a per-ounce tax, quote, a significant improvement, end quote, over Colorado and Washington's price-based tax structures, calling it, quote, a better tax plan and more stable and harder to manipulate, end quote. Rhode Island currently has around 7,000 medical marijuana patients, and tax revenue from the state's 2 operating dispensaries has amounted to $137,000 since last spring. The mayor of Boston is, quote, dead set against medical marijuana dispensaries, end quote, in his city, and is pressuring state regulators to find any technicality to reject dispensary applicants. Mayor Martin J. Walsh wrote to state health and medical marijuana departments, urging they, quote, immediately eliminate, end quote, the candidates for the city's 2 dispensaries if, quote, either application is confirmed to be inaccurate, end quote. Speaking at Pleasant Hill Baptist Church in Dorchester this week, Mayor Walsh said, quote, I'm dead set against legalizing marijuana. I was dead set against the marijuana dispensaries, and I was dead set against all the marijuana laws because they are dangerous, end quote. Mayor Walsh explained how marijuana is a gateway drug because friends of his who, quote, started smoking weed, end quote, went on to abuse harder drugs. In 1999, the United States Institute of Medicine stated, quote, there is no conclusive evidence that the drug effects of marijuana are causally linked to the subsequent abuse of other illicit drugs, end quote. This has been your 420 Radio News for Thursday, April 10th, 2014. I'm Russ Belville. Transcripts of 420 Radio News are available at our website at 420radio.org. When we come back, we'll go behind the headlines and take a look at a story in the Chicago Tribune that asks, why are Democrats so reticent to get on board with the rising support for marijuana legalization? You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio.
Let 'em bring in the beat.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant, high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let 'em bring in the beat.
Big Daddy think?
Funky roller ring, roller ring, roller ring, roller ring.
I like it.
My life in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine.
Welcome back, everyone. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And for today's story, I'm taking a look at an article written by Steve Chapman out at the Chicago Tribune. It's entitled, "Why Do Democrats Scorn Legal Pot?" That's a very, very good question, and he brings up a lot of the points that I have been bringing up since probably around 2008. He opens by saying legalizing marijuana is an issue made to order for the Democratic Party. A majority of Americans now support the idea, and so do 2 out of 3 Democrats. 2 states have done it, and several more may vote on it in 2016. So this is something that he points out. It's an issue that the Democrats could quickly jump on because there's no way the Republicans are. Even though they should, demographically speaking. But can you imagine Rick Santorum or Marco Rubio or Paul Ryan, he writes, endorsing legalization? Even Libertarian Rand Paul doesn't go that far. Chris Christie, for example, who is often considered to be a front runner for the Republicans in the primaries, said just last month, quote, "I don't favor legalization. I don't favor recreational use. I don't favor decriminalization. And I don't favor the use of marijuana as medicine." So that's pretty much the Republican talking points now. I mean, they don't even favor medical marijuana, which has 80% support in this country. As Chapman writes, the GOP is locked into a position that's steadily losing appeal with the public, and worse, the support for legalization's highest among young people and lowest among seniors. This is a great way to worsen the Republicans' ominous demographic problem. And then the meat of the whole article right here. There's only one thing standing in the way of the Democratic Party using the pot issue to win elections, curtail arrests of minorities, free money for social programs, and cement the allegiance of young voters. Democratic politicians. Yeah, only one standing in the Democrats' way are the Democrats themselves. He starts off with Hillary Rodham Clinton, who even as recently as 2008 rejected decriminalization, not legalization, rejected decrim. Right? And she's often, as Secretary of State, spoken out against the legalization of marijuana. We also have, people like Governor Jerry Brown, who used to be called Governor Moonbeam back in the day, back in the 70s, and probably has some experience with marijuana. He was saying, he's the governor of California, and he said, quote, "All of a sudden, if there's advertising and legitimacy, how many people can get stoned and still have a great state or a great nation?" End quote. I don't know why he's not concerned about Napa Valley vineyards and San Francisco microbrews causing any problem for the competitive nature of California. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is rejecting legalization. Connecticut's Governor Daniel Malloy says, "I don't think we're ready or want to go down that road." And this is just insane because the Democrats here, if they were looking to the will of the people and finding that 2/3 of their base, and in some states it's as high as 70% of their base, supports marijuana legalization, it's not an issue that's going to get them fired. I mean, or cost them votes. Can you name the last politician whose stance on legalization cost them votes? I mean, you can look at examples like Beto O'Rourke down there in the Texas district, that El Paso district there, who beat an 8-term incumbent by being pro-legalization, even as that Democratic incumbent was slamming him for his legalization stance. That's right. If the Democratic Party were looking to the will of the people, they would embrace the legalization of marijuana. So why aren't they? Because corporate people don't embrace the legalization of marijuana. Look at the funding base of the Democratic Party. Look at the Wall Street tycoons that they get their money from, the tech tycoons they get their money from, the big pharma, big healthcare they get their money from. None of those corporate people are too interested in seeing marijuana legalized, and that's why you're not seeing Democrats very interested in seeing marijuana legalized. Folks, I've said this for a long time. You cannot count on a politician to legalize marijuana. It's up to us to force them to legalize marijuana. And so far, we're winning. All right. It's good to be winning. Got Brian the Red in the studio. We're hanging out. It's 20 after the hour. Time for us to take our union-mandated safety meeting break. We haven't had a death here ever. See how safe we are?
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
I'm a reefer smoking man.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
Peaceful solution called a peace revolution, and now let's take back America.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Like millions of freedom-loving Americans, I'm a marijuana smoker, and I don't think that should be any of the government's business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana. The next time you light up, take the time to let your elected officials know how you feel. It's time we legalize marijuana and stop treating marijuana smokers like criminals. For more information on how you can help legalize marijuana, please contact NORML at NORML.org.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Groovin Thursday, featuring rap, hip-hop, soul, and funk music. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
Welcome back, everybody. 23 after the hour, and I'm excited to introduce to you our new Groovin Thursday music editor. It's Chuck Diesel. How you doing, Chuck?
Doing good, Russ. Really happy to be on the show today.
I'm so happy to have you here, too, and I love the nickname you've chosen, a little homage to one of my favorite rappers of all time, Chuck D.
Yep. Yeah, I always had this great cut of the New York City Diesel, and so, yeah, just came together nicely.
All right, well, tell our audience just a little bit about yourself and how you came about to 420 Radio.
Well, I've always been a listener, but I've always been a professional in the, the not so friendly to it work environment.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm out in my car just sneaking away to do the show, and I'm happy to be a part of it. But I've kind of become friends with Coleco and John, and I figured this hieroglyphics track really segued perfectly into that, because I think, was it Dell or was it Pep Love that they met up with and got the rights to his music before you guys had all of your licensing in place?
Yeah, it was Dell the Funky Homo Sapien. We caught up with him at the, was it the San Francisco Cannabis Cup, I think?
I think so, yeah. Dell and Pep Love, they're all part of Hieroglyphics, and they've always been one of my favorites. Definitely big supporters of cannabis.
Yeah, all right. And so you're kind of in the Herb Thrasher situation here, sneaking off to the car to make the noontime call here.
Yep. No, yeah, exactly. It's fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it. But yeah, loving Hieroglyphics. They're definitely, in my work situation, I can always pop on the headphones and do some computer programming. So having tunes that just kind of put my mind at ease while I'm working is key, and these guys have been clutch with that. So. And
I've also got to assume that you're a long-time 420 supporter.
Yeah, exactly.
You're all about the herb, huh?
What was that?
Y'all love the herb, right?
Oh, definitely.
What you smoking on today?
Today, well, I've got some LA cheese. I've got some Dairy Queen from TGA Genetics. I know they're kind of friends of the show.
Yeah.
We've got some green crack, which is probably my least favorite name for one of my favorite strains. I love green crack, but that name just kills me.
We ought to do a hashtag best strain worst name.
Yeah, exactly. Or another one I love is the Chernobyl from TGA, and it's like, come on, guys, like I love that, but that was a tragedy.
Yeah, people died. Oh my God. All right, well, let's get to some tunes here for Groovin Thursday. We got some hieroglyphics. The song is called Heat-ish. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, they have a line in there just talking about sitting back with the sack, blowing clouds of herb. What do they say? Just thinking to myself about linking up my wealth and developing my physical and mental. And that's just something I've always related to. At the end of the day, just sitting back and puffing and just kind of thinking about life, strategizing a little bit. So I love this track.
Right on. Here it goes. This is Hieroglyphics with Heat-ish. Thanks, Chuck Diesel. Talk to you next week.
Yep, we'll talk to you later.
Oh, yeah. It's heat-ish. Real type of shit we need it. Yeah. Believe this. It's heat-ish. Real type of shit we need it. Yeah, I'm super colossal. I DDT any Randy Savage acting macho. Watcho, nostrils burn from the toxic germ when I talk superb. Stronger than Cyclops' optic nerve. You didn't thought so? You just passed the paintbrush to Picasso. I move like a bullet shot from a 50 caliber Glock. So challenge me not, I'm liable to drop flows. And oh, they know my skills. Fire swept through your dialect like the Oakland Hills. And it's smoking still and everlasting. They saying, oh, that's overkill. Chill, roll the field, control the bill. Bixby in me, before I blow this building up. Damn, I'm swerving, puffing on a magic wand like I was Merlin. Picture that, beanie look like a magician hat, kicking back with a sack, blowing clouds of urban. Just thinking to myself about linking up my wealth and developing my physical and mental. I make G's with a pencil, expand exponentially. I got to tell them what I've been through. Weed mixed with hash, mixed with heat. Believe this, it's heat-ish, real type of shit we need it. Purge in the fridge, Swedish to Portuguese, words hitting overseas, got to believe it.
I'm an emphatic, rap-vatic, cinematic, syntactics, in havoc when the black magnet attract magic, disperse curses, repel spells and tell tales, my literary achievements, rock your body of regents and cause solar events. This psychokinetic flux when I touch the mic. You rappers caught up in a crux tonight. I bust with an exuberant, I lust for life. Maneuver within the groove and get bust for what I write. Take a stroll down Lover's Lane and get beat to a pulp by my slugger slang. I'm vulgar vain, glorious and obnoxious when I rock shit, get toxic, profound and profane. I hot spit, ignite and blow up like propane. Under pressure, it's no thing for me to wipe out your kind like the dinosaurs. Swinging my grammar like the hammer of the mighty Thor. Crushing percussion with this discussion I'm thrusting forth. To get these motherfuckers off my nuts is nothing.
Who we be? Ice times 3, keep it heatish. Real type of shit we need it. We mix with hash, mix with Keith Valides. It's heatish. Real type of shit we need it.
One of them cats that you won't find easy to persuade. Catch me with a group of babes stunting like Super Dave in an Escalade. And who can save hip hop when the music's made? You look confused. Try to take a step in my shoes. You couldn't touch, aim, or bust the weapon I use. You get crushed. Ice to slush, the bum rush. 20 of us that all rhyme plush. I heard that hit you got and that whip you caught tight, but in Oakland you get dropped right at the stoplight. Stomped in the flow by Indigo. Kin of cold reactions to start a chemical reaction. Shot up in them hole. Got up before we caught up in some shit. That's how we brought up a Fetty chaser, moving at the steady pace of an indie racer. Razor sharp art, Fantasia, fanatic of finesse with flows filled with static. Combated by the cats I let have it, a money magnet.
Cash boogie prestigious, believe this, we heatish. Real type of shit you need it. The meditative face, Ice times 3, we heatish. Real type of shit you need it. Persian to French, Swedish to Portuguese, words hitting overseas, got to believe this. Maximize third eye, we heatish. Real type of shit you need it. Heatish, real type of shit we need it. Bring it back. Real type of shit you need.
Come on and buy it if you want it, you can get it on the microphone, I never forget it, and I'm acquitted of all my perjuries. I'm doing surgery on these weak MCs, trying to be like never heard of me. I'm eating niggas like hamburgers, seasoned and spiced, right at their home, and then I dice some seeds up like carrots that I put in my stew. You, a weak ass nigga trying to be down with crew, but no, hieroglyphics is a tight ass clique of only the people that was down since I predict the beginning, and we still spinning records back and forth, and y'all is soft, so somebody pick up the mic from me. Come on and do this shit like it's likely to be hit.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
Professionals Against Prohibition, starring Jen Jackson from Raleigh, North Carolina, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific on 420radio.org.
Marijuana prohibition is a failed drug policy we have exported across the globe. Now we take a moment to check in with our allies in Europe, fighting to end adult cannabis prohibition as we go across the pond.
Welcome back, everybody. 34 after the hour, and we're joined by a member of NORML UK and the UK Cannabis Social Clubs, an activist and a friend of ours. We go way back. It's Greg Hoedt. How you doing, Greg?
Way back, man.
way back to like the 2000s.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's 2009, I think I tuned into you first.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. 5 years we're going on now. Hey, I know we had like our daylight time and all that kind of stuff. What time is it for you out there now?
It is 11:34, and I start work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I have to get up at 4 and get the bus and all that rubbish, and I have to get up and wake and bake and have a dab.
Hey, listeners,
to work.
listeners, you all need to get online to NORML UK and the UK Cannabis Social Clubs and make a donation just for him staying up so late to fill us in here in the States. Thank you.
No worries.
Hey,
it's my pleasure.
So tell us, what's the latest? It's been a while since we've spoken. How are things going in Britain as far as cannabis reform? I just I played recently a commercial that had come out from Clear on kind of an anti or a pro marijuana advert. Any more of that stuff going on, or any legislative stuff we need to catch up on?
They haven't legalized it yet, unfortunately. There's 420 obviously coming up, and that is a huge event. There's going to be. Last year there were 10,000 people come to Hyde Park. This year we're expecting, well, on the Facebook event page they said there was about 2,000 last year, and it came to 10,000. There's about 7,000 people said they're coming this year, so we're expecting sort of like in the region of 15,000. I'll be very pleased that happened. We're going to be making more like a bit more of a song and dance this year, I think, from a sort of focal point. All the other years it's kind of been everyone's just turned up. We've not really known what we're going to expect there, how much coverage there's going to be, or how much of sort of like a turn up that's going to be. And but this year we're expecting it to be quite a lot. So we're going to we're going to have quite a lot of speeches. We've got some musicians playing, and the Green Party, a political party, are even going to come out and hand out pro-cannabis leaflets as well. So that's quite encouraging.
That's wonderful. Now, since we've seen, Colorado move forward with marijuana commerce, legal commerce, and I'm sure those stories are making their way back to the various BBCs. Has that had an effect on any of the politicians, or are people talking about this more and maybe reconsidering reclassifying cannabis again?
I'd like to think it's the decriminalisation is on the cards. I think that's the direction that things are going to go. I think they're going to have to take it step by step, softly with the public. I don't think they can go into full legalisation because it would just blow their minds. What kind of media we've got over here with the reefer madness, and that just doesn't stop.
So have there been another 30,000 cannabis deaths since we last spoke?
I can't remember if we spoke about the case of Gemma Moss, the first person in Britain to ever die of cannabis.
No, tell us about
that. Apparently someone died of a cannabis overdose. A church-going mother of 3. And they painted all the picture of how lovely she was, and that she was struck down in her youth by the evil devil's weed, and that she had probably had 1 or 2 tokes on a joint, and apparently that had caused her to die. And that's just it. But doctors and scientists from all over the world were kind of ridiculing the pathologist's call that it was marijuana toxicity that had killed her. I think they ruled in the end that it was marijuana-induced or THC-induced heart attack or something akin. But she had been on pharmaceutical drugs, and she had stopped taking them all of a sudden. And they didn't actually test what the cannabis was. We don't know if that was a legal high or anything.
It could have been one of those K2s or Spice or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of these synthetics out there now, and we know that there's a lot of people that there are some people that do sell them properly. I'll get onto this a little bit later. I've been doing a little bit of work on these sort of like these new drugs that have been coming out. But there's some places that sort of like they sell them like a little bit, responsibly. They make sure that they've been tested and that they're safe. Other places just sell whatever they can get hold of, and they're untested. Like in the whole, the one name brand, which in the whole batch, one pill will test completely different from another one, and they're of a kind now that they don't really. They're so far advanced. They might not take effect for a couple of hours. You might take 2, and by that time you've overdosed at that point, and drug services don't even know how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So that's quite a big issue on the drugs policy debate in the UK at the moment. The legal highs on new psychoactive substances.
Okay, how about concentrates? I know that's something that now the East Coast of the United States is starting to pick up on, and their media is starting to hype it. Any dab hysteria in the UK?
I think the Daily Mail, they're sort of like a right-wing, like almost satirical tabloid. They've run a couple of stories. I think I'm not sure if it's just online. I believe so on. Cannabis explosions out in America, out in California, but not anything that's happened over here. I think there have been a couple of like small stories in local newspapers, but they've not made it into the nationals yet. But of BHO explosions, I do know of a few people that have had a few accidents. Of people or I've been told of stories of people involved in accidents where someone's lit up a joint in a closed area when they've been evaporating ISO off, or when they've been blasting butane. So one of their friends has walked over with a cigarette or just flicked a lighter and it's sparked off and they've lost their eyebrows. Mm-hmm. It's luckily it's not been too bad, but there's a lot of people are trying it out and a lot of people are doing it, and because a lot of people are seeing it everywhere, of course. But hopefully people are being a little bit more responsible. I think houses are a little bit more on top of each other over here. When I was out in Colorado, California, and Washington, whenever people were doing their extractions, they were all really, really sort of like making sure they weren't seen. But to me, there was no one around them. Like our houses are like right next to each other. We haven't got massive properties over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes quite a difference.
People are managing. Yeah, but in some respects, there are some absolutely fantastic concentrate makers. The OCD Labs in London, and they've now got a branch in Amsterdam as well. They're making some absolutely fantastic concentrates. I believe they came third in the Dabadoo in Spanibus, alongside like Emotech Labs and Top Shelf Extracts or Dandasai, or I'm not sure what companies that they're working for these days. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit out of the loop, I think, but I think that's great for a UK. I think they're the only sort of like concentrate lab over here in the UK. For them to be placing alongside like people that are getting high times cups regularly and competing at top level and selling $27,000 extraction kits.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good rep from the UK there.
I would say so. Hey, we're going out to our chat room here where one of our listeners, Canny, she's out in Denver, and I think you guys may have even met, but she was wanting to know, what did you learn from your time in the United States?
I think about it every day. That regulation should not be shied away from. I think it's a step in the right direction. A lot of the time, I think it'd be a very rare situation where you won't want to agree with regulating things. You've got to use your common sense, but the whole don't regulate it, keep it like tomatoes, I think is a bad thing. I think Washington's seeing some problems now that they could have probably avoided if they'd been a bit more real with the way they were going. Mm-hmm. Like Colorado haven't had these problems. I think California is a little bit too loose on its regulations, and it's left big holes for people to exploit it. Like when I was down there in California, I was observing a dispensary that was being run by gangsters, and they were just using it as a front for harder drugs. And I just think, that shouldn't be happening, and that shouldn't be happening under the guise of medical marijuana, especially. So I think stronger regulations are a good thing, and they're a good thing. They're going to be needed, to really shape the industry and make it what it can be. And I think if the more proactive people can be in getting involved with that, they can help shape it for the better instead of just moaning later when it's too late for them.
Yeah, I like you pointing out that, being proactively a part of the regulations. I think sometimes what happens is we've been outlaws for so long that we have developed this us versus them mentality, when now we are becoming them. We can be the them if we just get involved.
Exactly, and one of the steps we're trying to encourage people to take with activism now in the UK is to turn it into a business thing. Don't be like everyone's going, oh, we don't want big business getting involved with cannabis. It's like, well, you be big business, and then you can't be against it. Like, you can be in control of it. So right. Become the industry, build it, and it's a field of dreams, isn't it?
There you go.
Ganja.
There you go. Hey, we got to wrap things up here, but before we go, you're involved with so much going on there in the UK between NORML UK and the UK Cannabis Social Clubs. Give us an idea. Give people contact information and some stuff they can look up if they want to get involved.
For sure, yeah. Go to ukcsc.co.uk. That's United Kingdom Cannabis Social Clubs. We are just about to launch a tagged plant model, for closed loop regulation of collectives. So people are gonna who grow their own cannabis and who are caregivers, we're going to be able to tag their plants, and we're going to be able to support them if the worst ever does happen, and we're going to be able to move in a direction that hasn't been taken in the UK. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll tell you more about that after 420, because we're going to launch that then, and we'll have more on that. And then you can visit normal-uk.org and find out more about NORML there. You can join up there, and if you wanna get involved, if you're listening in the UK, get in contact with us. There's plenty of ways to do that on our Facebook and on our Twitter, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks very much, Russ.
Hey, thank you. Now get some sleep, my man. We'll talk to you again sometime.
Cheers, bro. Thanks very much. Have a good night, guys. Bye, Brian.
Right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Zohydro and the drug company's complaint about my article on it. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit marijuanaissafer.com. You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on.
This is a vial of crack, rock cocaine. As you may have noticed, it doesn't come with a warning label. If it did, it might tell you that smoking crack affects the brain, the nervous system, the lungs, and the heart. It would also say that crack can kill you. The problem is, no one knows exactly how much it takes to do it. So every time you try it, it's a guessing game. And if you guess wrong with this stuff, you die.
Respect the law, but know your rights. And share if you can.
Ask me any question, I'm gonna plead the fifth. Unless you asking me if I wanna smoke a spliff, then I'll be coming over. I'm gonna take a lift. You know I leave you feeling like you got a touch of the gift.
Yeah, this is Brian the Red, and you're listening to 420radio.org. So get a little irie.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
Well, today I got an email from the editors at High Times. It was to them. It was actually for me, but he didn't have my address. About an article I wrote. It's from David Polk, and he's a representative from Zogenix, Inc., which is the company that manufactures Zohydro. That's the controversial new Hydrocodone pill recently approved by the FDA. David was upset about my story, Mexico Trades Marijuana for Heroin, where I detail the rising abuse of heroin in the United States and trace it to the DEA's approval of massive increases in drug company manufacturing quotas for synthetic opioids. Particularly, David was upset I brought Zohydro into the discussion in the final paragraph. David wrote, quote, Russ Belville's story, Mexico Trades Marijuana for Heroin, inaccurately reported that Zohydro ER contains, quote, 5 times the hydrocodone available in Vicodin, end quote. That's simply not true, and is just another unfortunate example of the misinformation that continues to be repeated in news stories across the country. In terms of hydrocodone potency, a 10 milligram dose of Zohydro ER is the exact same potency as a 10 milligram dose of Vicodin or any other hydrocodone product. And contrary to what has been reported, Zohydro ER is not the most powerful opioid in its class. Many marketed opioids are more potent, including oxymorphone, methadone, hydromorphone, and fentanyl. I'm sure you agree that High Times readers deserve the facts, and I hope you will correct the story to reflect accurate information about Zohydro ER. End quote. Well, David, thank you for your concerns. I always strive to be accurate, but I'm no pharmacologist. So I must rely on what people far more trained than I have been reporting about Zohydro. Let's cover some accurate information about Zohydro ER that you're conveniently glossing over. CBS News on April 4th reported states try to block new powerful painkiller Zohydro. In that report, I found the statement, an extended release capsule that contains up to 5 times the amount of narcotic hydrocodone previously available in pills. Notice not the word potency, but the word amount. Keep that in mind. That comes important a little bit later. This article also informed me that Zohydro is formulated with hydrocodone like Vicodin, yet contains none of Vicodin's acetaminophen. I also learned that Zohydro is not yet formulated with the anti-abuse properties that were mandated for Vicodin and OxyContin to prevent users from crushing and snorting or injecting it. Furthermore, in my research, I learned that the FDA approved Zohydro despite an 11-2 vote against it by an FDA advisory panel composed of very learned medical experts. I followed up by finding this February 27th article in WebMD. It was entitled, Critics Oppose FDA Approval of Painkiller Zohydro, which stated, Critics of the FDA's ruling include attorneys general from 28 states and Fed Up, a union of consumer groups, addiction treatment providers, drug and alcohol prevention groups, and other interested groups. So, it seems I'm not the only one raising a red flag here. As for your contention that a 10 milligram dose of Zohydro equals a 10 milligram dose of Vicodin, perhaps that is true, given that they have the same active ingredient of hydrocodone. I mean, hydrocodone is hydrocodone, right? However, according to Vicodin.com, the manufacturer's website, Vicodin is available in 5 milligram, 7.5 milligram, and 10 milligram dosages, which can also contain anywhere from 300 to 750 milligrams of acetaminophen. In those descriptions, which I confirmed on the National Institute of Health website, what we found is that the 5, 7.5, and 10 milligram dosages, and then I looked on Zohydro on the National Institute of Health website, and it notes that it will be available in doses as high as 50 milligrams per pill. 50 divided by 10, if I'm not mistaken, is 5 times the amount in immediate release hydrocodone pills. So, the discussion continues explaining how Zohydro is the first hydrocodone available without acetaminophen or ibuprofen. Zogenix is promoting that fact due to the hepatotoxicity of acetaminophen, so pain patients with liver failure can use it. But one addictions expert cites the knowledge of possible liver failure from continued use of Vicodin as one of the deterrents to prolonged addiction to it, and points out that there are many other non-hepatotoxic pain reliever alternatives out there. We'd be remiss not to mention cannabis is one of them. And marketing a pill with 50 milligrams of hydrocodone in it, 10 times the 5 milligram standard dose, and 5 times the strongest 10 milligram dose of Vicodin, is going to kill people. As Dr. Andrew Kolodny of the Drug Addiction Clinic Phoenix House explained to CBS News, quote, "Many people are concerned that as soon as this drug hits the market, many people will die from it. A child who's never taken an opioid before could die from taking just 1 capsule. And an adult who's not used to taking opioids could overdose on just 2 capsules, end quote. So, yeah, your Johnny Walker Red may be the same proof as their Jack Daniels, but they're serving it to alcoholics in a shot glass with a Coke back, and you're serving it in an 8-ounce glass neat. Nice try, Zogenix. I understand how hard you must have to be spinning to get the American public to accept another dangerous addictive opioid when the United States already consumes, and this is no typo, folks, this is blow your mind, the United States already consumes 99% of the world's hydrocodone. 99% of the world's hydrocodone and 83% of its oxycodone. And we're in the midst of a rising heroin overdose epidemic. It also must be terribly maddening to pharmaceutical company shareholders everywhere, Zogenix included, that medical marijuana keeps passing in state after state, when a survey of California's Berkeley Patients Group, confirmed by anecdotes I hear from patients coast to coast, showed that patients using medical marijuana were able to seriously reduce or eliminate their need for opioid painkillers. I'm not changing a thing about the article. 5 times the hydrocodone available in Vicodin is accurate when the greatest available amount in Vicodin is 10 milligrams and the greatest available amount in Zohydro is 50 milligrams. Now, I got some tweets from some pain patients that talked to me at length about this, helped me to understand that they don't want their livers to fail from taking acetaminophen, and that the immediate release Vicodin only goes 1 to 4 hours, whereas the extended release Zohydro can go for up to 12 hours. Completely understood, and pain patients shouldn't be made to pay the price for what the addicts or people who are addicted to these things might do with them. However, they did not need to approve this drug before getting it formulated with the same kind of anti-abuse items, the anti-abuse molecules they put in Vicodin and OxyContin to keep them from being crushed and snorted and injected. And when we've gone from 8,300 kilograms in 1997 of OxyContin to 150,000 kilograms of OxyContin in 2014, and the DEA tells me the reason why is they had to supply all of the illegitimate parties before the actual legit pain patients could get theirs, there's something seriously wrong here. This is pharmaceutical company profits over public health and safety. I'd love to talk about it more. We'll have the phone lines open in Toker Talk Radio for the next hour at 971-533-7111. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. That's all the time we got for today, but like I said, stay tuned for hour 2. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow